Good morning, everyone. Good morning, sir. For the discussion this morning, I am tasked to discuss somatic pedagogy technique. So before we proceed to the different techniques, last discussion, we had our somatic pedagogy. So as we review on the somatic pedagogy, that is a teaching approach that focuses on the mind-body connection. So the word somatic comes from the Greek word soma, meaning the living body in its wholeness, according to Thomas Hanna in 1979. And somatic pedagogy, as we discussed, that the goal is not just to do movements correctly, but to experience movements with awareness, reduce unnecessary tension, and build a stronger connection between body and mind. So, in somatic techniques, these help our learners to explore how thoughts, emotions, and movements affect the body and how body awareness can improve learning, health, and performance. So the key technique in somatic pedagogy, first is the structural and hands-on somatic techniques. So what is structural and hands-on somatic techniques? So first, we have the structural or manual methods. So when we say structural or manual methods, that is involving touch and guidance to enhance awareness of bodily structures and restore postural and physiological connections. So in structural and hands-on somatic technique, this is a hands-on guidance to restore posture and balance. For example, a teacher gently adjusts a student's shoulder to help them sense alignment while standing. So that is a structural or manual methods. Second is fascial technique. Fascial release technique or FRT. Fascial technique is using slow, intentional movements to release tension in connective tissue, promoting relaxation and flexibility. For example of this is using movements like bowing, spiraling, or dynamic stretching. So that is the fascial technique. And we have also the second technique is the movement-based somatic approach. So when we say movement-based somatic approaches, this is a psychotherapeutic practices using movement to improve our well-being. So first, movement-based somatic approaches. First is the Feldenkrais method. So when we say Feldenkrais method, this is a gentle guided movements to improve awareness and functioning and ease of movement. So example of this is slowly turning the head side to side while noticing the spine and shoulder respond. So Feldenkrais method is an example of also in doing our exercises in our Sir Ryan lessons, no, and activity. Second technique is Alexander technique. So Alexander technique is the focusing on posture and efficient movement by learning habitual tension patterns. So this is unlearning habitual tension patterns leading to better movement, at the same time coordination and overall well-being. So example of this is practicing rising from a chair while focusing or releasing neck tension. Okay, so that is an example of our Alexander technique. The third one is Hanna somatics. So example of this, Hanna somatics, by the way, or pandiculation. This is using pandiculation to reset muscle functions. Example is thinking and then slowly releasing back muscles to restore ease in movement. Okay, so that is the Hana Somatics. Yoga therapy. So yoga therapy combines physical postures, breathing, and mindfulness to balance the body and mind. So this is combining of postures and breath for mind-body awareness. We have the Qigong Qigong and Tai Chi technique. So Qigong and Tai Chi is a flowing movement with breath for somatic connection. So this is somatic Qigong or Tai technique. This is an example of performing slow arm circles in sync with inhalation and of course exhalation. No? But inhale, exhale, how we do that. So that is a Qigong and Tai Chi technique. Then we have the somatic dance or somatic movement. So prioritizing internal experience over external form. So example of this is our students or learners explore free movement in response to music without focusing on steps. So that is a somatic dance or somatic movement. We are prioritizing the internal experience over external form. Okay. And we have also the breath, visualization, and mindfulness techniques. Okay, so we have first the breath work or deep breathing. So conscious breathing for nervous system regulation. So for example of this is, for example, you inhale for 4 counts and exhale for 6 counts to reduce stress. So that is breath work or deep breathing. Next is visualization, using imagery to support movement and posture. So example, lying down and noticing sensations and starting from the toes up to the head. So that is an example of that is an example of the body scan rather. Okay, for visualization, this is imagining strictly a gentle lifting for example, the crown of the head to improve posture. Okay, so that is example of visualization. While our body scan, this is a mindful attention to the different parts of the body. So it means that as I've said earlier, example of this is lying down and noticing sensation starting from the toes to up to the head. So that is a visualization, body scan. Okay, sorry. 4 is mindful stretching. Mindful stretching, slow, deliberate stretching while tuning attention to bodily sensations. So mindful stretching, example of this is stretching arms overhead while noticing the rib cage expanding. So that is an example of the mindful stretching. Okay. Next is expressive and creative forms. First technique is authentic movement. Spontaneous, internally directed movement, often performed with a witness, emphasizes genuineness of movement. Example, one learner or student moves freely with eyes closed while another observes silently. So that is an authentic movement. Second is idiokinesis. So when we say idiokinesis, this is using visual and kinesthetic imagery to guide postures and movement by seeing internal movement lines, effective for posture re-education according to Abley the coach. So in edukinesis is more on sense of sight. We see the different movements, the different posture. Next is gyrokinesis or gyrotonic. So this is a flowing exercises for flexibility and also awareness. Same according to Abli the coach. And then contact improvisation. This is a dance-based form emphasizing tactile, spontaneous movement. Dialogues with others are implied in somatic pedagogy programs, and this is according to Somatic Academe Berlin. And then we have also the therapeutic or trauma-informed somatic technique. So for our therapeutic and trauma-informed somatic techniques, we have the somatic experience. So in interoceptive approach to understand and release trauma-related physical tension or aura institute. So this is, example is pausing during a stressful memory to notice and release tightness in the chest. So that is an example of our somatic experiencing. Second is sensory motor psychotherapy. So this is integrative method combining body-centered techniques with psychotherapy to process trauma responses by Aura Institute. So example of this is exploring grounding through pressing feet into floor while discussing emotions. So that is an sensory motor psychotherapy. The third one is mindfulness-based somatic therapy, cultivating present moment bodily awareness to help manage distressing thoughts and feelings by our institute. So example of this is how we manage our distress through body awareness. And example of this is focusing on breath rhythm and also to reduce racing thoughts. Next is our neuroaffective relational model or NARM. So somatic psychotherapy focusing on developmental and relational trauma and emotional regulation. So this example of this is a client or a learner practices recognizing emotions in the body and naming them calmly. So that is a neuroaffective or NARM, neuroaffective relational model. And we have the biodynamic craniosacral therapy. Craniosacral therapy, this is a gentle touch method aimed at resolving trauma stored in the body through cranial and sacral rhythm awareness. So same with Aura Institute. So example of this biodynamic is a gentle touch to resolve stored trauma. Example of this is a practitioner lightly holds the client's head to sense cranial rhythms. So that is an example of biodynamic craniosacral therapy. So that's end my report for this morning, and these are my references for the discussion for this morning. Thank you for listening.